So yesterday, I hope you can see the screen. Can somebody let me know, Shiva or somebody?
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you, Shiva. So GoogleNet we started, and I told you that when compared with the previous architectures, personally I like GoogleNet because it has some logic. Otherwise, these architectures are introduced mostly with experimental basis. Okay. Now GoogleNet, the first important question that we have to remember is they reduced the number of computations. How do they reduce the number of computations? By introducing one by one convolution. So why they should introduce one by one convolution? But because they thought that okay, VGG has some layers around 20. So what if we come up with 32 and maybe increase further the number of layers? If they want to increase the number of layers, number of weights will increase. Number of layers will make number of weights to increase. When the number of weights are increasing, number of computations are increasing. When the number of computations are increasing, definitely it will not be used in reality if you want to customize that model. So that means it's not at all good to have a model with very high number of computations. Now GoogleNet thought that okay, let us have very high number of layers but with reduced weights and with reduced computations. This is their goal, the objective that they have in their mind. How did they achieve this objective? Using one by one convolutions. Okay, and this one by one convolution, since it's the beauty of one by one convolution is they reduce the depth. Since they reduce the depth, indirectly they reduce the number of computations. Now what they have done is they have used this one by one convolution into their inception module. Now you may ask, yesterday also I told you, sir, you are bringing a new terminology called inception model. That means one by one convolution equal to inception model. No, actually inception module has a lot of units. One of the unit is one by one convolution, n by n convolution, max pooling layer. A combination of these three applied in parallel. This is also important. It's not combining these three. All of these guys applied in parallel, then you call that module as inception module. Combining these inception modules results in a new CNN called as GoogleNet. Now you understood the sequence that I followed. First one by one. It's not only one by one in the GoogleNet. Combine one by one, n by n max pool parallelly. It forms inception module. Combine these inception modules to form GoogleNet. Okay. Now, yesterday we are in the process of discussing this inception module. Actually, I've drawn somewhere. Where is that? Yeah, see. This is inception module. Inception module. Now, here I'm applying 120. First, let me do it here. 96 one by one convolution layer applied. I applied 128 one by one convolutions here. 192 3 by 3 convolution here. 32 1 by 1 convolution here. 96 5 by 5 convolution here. 3 by 3 max pooling. 64 1 by 1 convolution. Now, if you see, multiple operations are being applied in parallel on the input image that you have. Okay, that's the reason it is called as inception module. This is the building block of GoogleNet architecture. Okay, fine. Now let us try to understand the output size. Okay, then I'll wind up this GoogleNet architecture, then I will just move to the next one. So one thing you need to remember very, very, very carefully is the width is 28, the height is also 28. Maybe by looking you may not feel like that, but it's 28 by 28. The only thing that they kept in their mind while applying this multiple operations in parallel is the width and height should remain the same. The width and height should remain the same as input width and input height. But the depth can change. The depth here is 256. The depth here would be something else. What is that depth? We will see. So the first principle that they have kept while applying the inception is the width and height should not change. Only the depth can change. Okay. Now, I don't know whether I told you this yesterday or not, but here, as I told you, I don't know if I tell you, I think you should not get confused. That's the only concern for me. And if I tell you many details, you should not get confused. Okay, but it's a repetitive operation. But at least let us label it here itself. Let me take some odd color of pen so that yeah. So here W naught is equal to Wi plus Wi is nothing but 28 plus 2P is P0 here minus 1 by 1 because filter size is 1 by 1 it is 28. That means after this operation also my width and height is 28 cross 28. Okay. Now let us supply this 28 cross 28 as input to this. Now we are applying 190 to 3 by 3. That means when I'm applying 3 by 3 filter, 3 by 3 filter W naught is equal to Wi is 28 plus 2P. 2P in the sense, generally from the beginning I'm telling that P is 0 by default. You may have a doubt, sir, why if P is 0, why are always considering P? Here P is 1. How do I know that P is 1? Because I don't know. I just try with P is equal to 1. I just try with P is equal to 2. I just try with P is equal to 3 and see which P value gives me W naught 28. That's all. Here, if I substitute P is equal to 1 minus F. F is what? F is filter is 3 by 3 here. Here, no, 3 by 3. 3 by a stride is 1 plus 1. I'll check with one value, 1 P as 1. I'll just check the width and height is 28. If I'm not getting 28, I'll see with 2. If I'm not getting 28, I'll see with P is equal to 3. Like that, I'll try all the combinations and then finally again get 28 cross 28. Now, what is the width of this? 28 cross 192. Is it fine, Nana? 28 cross 192 because I applied 192 search 3 by 3 filters. So the depth would be 192. Actually, it's not this one. Actually, 28 cross 128 because the depth of this is 128. So I have to apply 28 cross 128. How many search kernels will I have to apply? 192. So that the output depth is 192. Okay. So let us just erase this clumsy part. I hate it is clumsy. Yeah. So it's 192 3 by 3. Now what is the output, Nana? 28 cross 192. Similarly, here since it's 1 by 1, obviously the width and height will not change. So 28 cross 96. Here again, you can do the necessary padding. Generally, whenever you apply convolution layer, the width and height will reduce. But if you do necessary padding, such that the input width and height is equal to output width and height, then obviously here also I'll have 28 cross 28, but I applied 96. So this depth is 96. Again, here also I have done sufficient padding and 28 cross 28 will be there. And how many search kernels am I applying? 64. Now you have to aggregate all these guys. You have to aggregate this guy. Aggregate in the sense, what is the common width and height? 28 cross 28. That would be the same. But what would be the depth? Depth is, just take this one, 96 plus 192 plus 96 plus 64. That would be 440. That means the output of inception module is 28 cross 448. What is input? 28 cross 28 with the depth 256. Now the depth has been increased. but the depth is increased to a little extent only, not drastically, because I've applied n number of operations here in the inception module. So how many layers we have in the inception module? 2 layers, one parallel layer and another parallel layer. This is one layer of operations and this is another layer of operations. Okay, perfect. So now if I combine these inception modules in a proper sequence, then the resultant network is called as GoogleNet. Okay. Now let us see how do I combine that. Actually, it's a little complex. Various variants of GoogleNet exist, but I may not draw all of them because it's combining these inception modules in different sequence. That's all. Just to change the sequence. Whether you will combine after one convolution layer, you bring inception module. Whether you bring after two convolutions, you give the inception module. Only the sequence matters. Okay, but at least one variant I'll just tell you. You have input of 3 channels. Okay, R, G, and B. The width is 224, the height is 224, and the depth is 3. Now, what they have done is they have taken the configuration. Now, only for one layer, I'll tell you because I already told that we'll not repeat this because already we repeated n number of times. They have taken stride is equal to 2 for the first layer, P is equal to 0, K is equal to 64, F is equal to 1. This is the configuration that they have taken. This is my input image, input colored image. Now let us apply W0. W0 is equal to Wi. Wi is 224 plus P is 0 minus F is 1 by S is 2 by S is 2 plus 1. So the W output is 112. Now I'll draw 112 cross 112. Now what is the depth? Depth is 64 because I applied 64 such kernels. Is it clear? This is all common. That means for every width and height of the convolution operation, you will have a configuration like this, but I'll not give that configuration because in reality when you code, you will not remember directly. You will import the configuration from the standard architectures like this. No one will remember. Okay, so no need to remember. It actually brute, like, there's no point in remembering. It's like by hearting. Okay, but you should remember how I got this width and height with some configuration. How do I derive this width, height, and depth from the configuration? That we have discussed n number of times. So that's the reason I've erased that configuration. Okay. After this, they applied max pooling layer. This is convolution, right? Sir, you told that GoogleNet will have inception modules, na sir. Why are you again giving convolution layer max pooler? I'll tell you. Wait. This is max pool. Max pooler with some configuration. Again, the configuration I'm not telling because I've told here. I'll not tell again in any part of the network. With some configuration, they got some width, height, and depth. The width is 56, and the depth is 64. Okay, this is max pool. Now later they applied convolution again. They applied convolution. The convolution width and height with some configuration that they have decided. The convolution width and height is 56, and the depth that was achieved is 192. Then again, they applied max pooling. Sir, what is this, sir? You're telling some configuration with high depth. We are getting frustrated of listening the same parameters calculation, same width and height. It's boring. Yeah, but I told it's a more of a mechanical job rather than a logical job. But there are logical points in GoogleNet and ResNet, the next architecture. That's the reason I have to draw. Okay, that logical points makes a lot of sense. Okay, this is max pooling, and no. Yeah, I think after convolution they've applied max pooling. Convolution, max pool, then convolution, and then max pool again. 28 cross 28, and the depth that they got is 192. Because for every input layer, they have to apply max pool. Now, our weighting is done. Now, the actual flavor of GoogleNet comes. This is all previously existing layers: convolution, max pool, like that. Now, here I apply the inception module. I'll apply the inception module 1, where the inception module 1, where the width is 28 and the height is 28 and the depth is 256. Now, what do I mean by this inception module? This one, Mana. Where is that? Ouch. Yeah. Where is that? Drawn above. Yeah, here. Inception module in the sense these two layers, this set of parallel layers, and the second layer, parallel operations. These two layers combine to form one inception module. Now, after, because see here, what is the input for this inception module? 192, 28 cross 192, 28 cross 192. Let us go above. What is the input here? 28 cross. Here it's not 192, it is 256. But here instead of 256, you keep 192. Now, if this 192 changes, will this value changes? This number of 128, 32, will these values like 192, 96, 64? Yes, they'll also change. That means for every inception module, the number of kernels that you have to apply will change. Even though it is inception module, even though multiple parallel operations are being applied, the number of kernels will change. Okay, so but the sequence remains the same, like 1 by 1 max pooling, then 1 by 1, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, 1 by 1. So applying multiple convolution and max pooling operations in parallel, that is the main flavor of inception module. But the exact numbers will change from one inception module to the another inception module in the same network. Now the configuration, similarly, you'll have some other configuration here. Okay. So if you want, I'll tell you, but again, you'll feel bored of it. That's the reason I'm not telling. With some configuration, you know how do I get, earlier I got 448. Similarly, with some configuration of inception module, I'll get 256. If you want me to tell, I'll tell that configuration. Just let me know. Okay. Actually, otherwise, I can change it here, but yeah, fine. If you want, I'll change it here only. It's a little boring actually, Nana. Entire numbers will change, Nana. Only numbers will change. I don't want to give all these numbers because there is no logic here. Only the numbers. But if you want me to tell the last numbers, it's 64. This is 128. This is 32. And this is 32. If you add this 32 plus 128 plus 64, you'll get 256. Okay. That's the reason you got 256 here. Okay. So this is inception module 1. Similarly, you'll have one more inception module with 28 cross 28 and the depth would be 480. This is another inception module, IM2. Then you'll have max pool. Now not inception module, on a max pool with size 14 cross 14. And the depth, obviously, you can guess it is 480 because it will be the depth of input. This is max pool. This is inception module 2. Now again, after max pool, you'll have IM3. Then you have, I'm not even writing the dimensions. Okay, directly I'll write it here. I'll not even draw. IM3 dimension, inception module 3 dimensions. I'll have IM4 parallelly, even have IM5. all these 3 inception modules will have 14 cross, 14 cross, 512 as depth. Once this is done, again they'll have one more inception module IM6 with 14 cross, 14 cross, 528. Then followed by another inception module IM7 with different this thing like 14 cross, 14 cross, 832. Then they have one more. Sir, why you're telling all this? Only to take you till the last layer I have to draw this. So then they have applied max pool. For max pool they have 7 cross 7 with the depth of I think it would be around 832. 832. This is max pool. Because there are some interesting points that I have to tell you. That's the reason I'm drawing here. Again, inception module 8. The width and height is 7 cross 7 cross 5. Sorry, it is 832. 832. Again, I'll have IM9, inception module 9. That would be 7 cross 7 cross 1024. Then finally, I think we reached the end, Nana. Finally, we'll have a new layer. See, Nana, a new layer. This is completely a new layer. Till now, we have only what layers? Convolution layer, max pool layer, inception module layers, right? But we are going to learn a new layer. This is a beautiful concept that they came up with. That's the reason it's a clever architecture than previous architectures. Only to tell you this layer, I have to draw all these things. 7 cross 7. The last layer is 1 cross 1. Depth is 1024. This is called a new layer called average pooling. Average pooling. Okay, convolution layer is also called as feature pooling. Convolution layer is also called as feature pooling, max pooling, average pooling. If you want to remember, pooling as common word. Now, what exactly this pooling does, I'll tell you. Now, your width and height is 1 by 1 and the depth is 1024. And finally, you'll have fully connected layers. That is common across any network. This is 1024. This is 1000. This is 1000. Okay. Now, we'll come back from the, we'll come from the back. See here, this is fine because every architecture has this same the fully connected layers. So the number of parameters will be same. Maybe earlier we have taken 4096. Now we reduce the number of neurons in the fully connected layers. I should tell you this, Nana. This is a beautiful concept. Now, if you see what is the output here, 7 cross 7 cross 1024. 7 cross 7 cross 1024. Now, what happens if I directly apply some max pooling here, or maybe like just a second, yeah. If I directly apply max pooling here, this here, here 7 cross 7 cross 1024 into 1024. This is my fully connected layer. Here, think that it's not there. It is not there. This layer is not there. This is my last layer, IM9, and I directly connect to my fully connected layers, and the number of parameters would be 1024 into 1024 into 7 cross 7. This would be greater than 5 crore parameters, which is very, very huge. Which is very, very huge. That's the reason they want to reduce the depth. They want to reduce the depth. Depth in the sense, not exactly depth, the width and height. Now, instead, they came up with this concept of average pooling. where the width and height now was reduced to 1 cross 1 into 1024 into 1024. Now this just resulted in 10 lakh parameters. That means just because I reduced the width and height of my last layer, last non-fully connected layer, I could reduce extensive number of parameters. Okay, but how did I reduce? How I can reduce my width and height from 7 cross 7 1024 to 1 cross 1 cross 1024, and I call this operation as average pooling. How do I reduce and how exactly this happens? It's very simple. For example, how this looks: first channel 7 cross 7, the second channel 7 cross 7, the third channel 7 cross 7, like this 1024 channel 7 cross 7, right? Like this 1024 channels will be there. Now here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, like that, 7 by 7, you know that. Now what they have done is they have taken the average, of all these pixels and round it off. For example, if there is, this is 10, this is 3 is pixel, this is pixel 200, etc, etc. What are the pixel values that you have? They have taken the average and they round, if it generally it comes in a floating value, if it comes, they round it off and supply that to the output layer. So now the entire frame, the entire channel will give you one value. Will give you one value. You understood? That means this entire frame, I'll have only one value, Nana. The entire channel, the average, the result is 1. This guy will give another average value for this channel. Again, the third channel, you'll have average value. Maybe I'll take some average values for the sake of demonstration. Maybe the average values after rounded off, maybe 25, maybe 250, maybe after normalization, and just assume that 110. Now that means assume that I have only 3 channels, 7 cross 7, 3. Maybe you can take 1024, no problem. 1024, like that I'll have how many values? 1024 values. Maybe this is 150. Like this I'll have 1024 values. So this first value, second value, third value, fourth value, fifth value, like this. That means this is actually 1 cross 1 with the depth 1024. The depth 1024. Okay. So what they have done is they have just taken the average of each channel and supplied to the fully connected layer. So instead of 7 cross 7, it was reduced to 1 cross 1. Now, since the width and height was reduced, when it is multiplied with 1024, the number of parameters is definitely very, very less than when 1024 is multiplied with this initial layer. Okay. So this is the main theme of average pooling. So how GoogleNet increased number of layers. This is very, very important, Anna. They've achieved their objective in 2 ways. What is their objective? They want to increase the number of layers. They want to reduce the number of weights and reduce the number of computations. And what is the way for that? One by one convolution. And they added this one by one convolutions in parallel, and they combine all of this to get inception module. So all this resulted in reduced number of weights and less number of weights and less number of computations. Also, to further reduce, what they've done is they came up with average pooling concept, where if I have 1024 channels, each channel, from each channel I'll get only one value, that is average value, and I'll reduce the size, that means width and height, by keeping the depth as it is. Since I'm reducing the width and height, the number of values also, or the number of parameters also will reduce. Number of computations also will reduce. Now you remember, or now you got the point, why Google Lens could reduce the number of computations because of these two steps. But they faced one more problem, Nana. That's the reason I'm telling now it's intelligent, smart. Actually, they could reduce the number of computations and increase the number of layers. Perfect when compared with VGJ. But what they observed is, they observed that their architecture is suffering with a problem called vanishing gradient problem. Initially, before they released to the actual research community, when they tested with these one by one convolution layer and average pooling, they thought it would be a very good architecture, but they have seen that the architecture sometimes facing a problem called vanishing gradient. Now, what is vanishing gradient? We have seen that previously in the during CAT 1. When I'm going in a forward direction, I calculate loss, assume that the loss is very high. Then I back propagate. Back propagation in the sense I write chain rule. I write chain rule. During this chain rule, if one of, for example, you know that partial derivative 1, partial derivative 2, partial derivative 3, like this, partial derivative n. This is the chain rule during the back propagation. If one of them is 0, the entire gradient becomes 0. That means you will not move. If you don't move, there will not be change in the loss. Then gone. Okay, that's the reason you should never have any technique in the deep learning that results in vanishing gradient problem. But they've observed this. Then what is the point in coming up with n number of layers, coming up with one by one convolution concept, coming up with the inception concept, coming up with the average pooling concept, everything wiped off, because now it faced with the problem called vanishing gradient. But they did not get disappointed. They also solved this problem. It's a very, very simple solution. It's an absolutely very simple solution, but it's an awesome solution. What they've done is, okay, why vanishing gradient problem is coming? Because see here, I have n number of layers, right? Different inception layers, max pooling layers, convolution layers, etc., etc. See, gradients are not flowing back because the chain rule is so big. Because the chain rule is so big. Now, what they've done is, let us have the concept called as auxiliary loss. It's not generally we calculate the loss only at the end, So now what they've done is, this is layer 1, this is layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. Now they forward propagated and calculated the loss AL1, auxiliary loss 1, and assume that loss is 0.9, which is high. They back propagated from here. That means what is happening? Since the chain rule is very it's not lengthy, the chances of other gradients becoming 0, because of one gradient becoming 0, others should not get affected. Since the number of partial derivatives in this are very less, then obviously the chances of this becoming 0 is less. For example, assume that this gradient is 0, but still the gradients will flow. And this loss will get updated in the next iteration. Since these get updated, next time when we forward propagate, this may not be 0. In the next iteration, this may be non-zero. Again, here also, I'll get auxiliary loss. Is it fine? Again, I'm telling Anna the concept of intermediate loss. Auxiliary loss is nothing but intermediate loss. Assume that here I have observed gradient as 0. What I've done is I have taken maybe loss till this point and I back propagated that loss. All the weights are updated. When the weights are updated, I again forward propagated. When I forward propagated, the loss has been decreased. Then again further I forward propagated, and whenever I back propagated, earlier the gradient is 0, Now, since I have forward propagated with my updated weights, this at this point, the chances of gradient to be zero, the chances of gradient to be zero will be reduced. Maybe here the gradient is not zero. Now here also, maybe from here you can calculate auxiliary loss 2. Here it is auxiliary loss 1. That means you are calculating intermediate losses and ensuring that there is no vanishing gradient problem, and again doing the forward propagation and passing the updated weights to the next part of your network and reducing the chances of vanishing gradient in the next part of the network. So it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. That's the reason it's a beautiful concept. They came up with a concept called auxiliary loss. Is it clear, guys? This is this is an interview question, man. And actually, one common question that we ask in interviews, what are the CNN architectures that you know? Then people tell, Sir, AlexNet, ZFNet, VHGNet, GoogleNet, TrustNet. That's true. But nobody will ask the configuration, that's for sure. But they'll ask, oh, you know all these architectures? Okay, fine. Now, if I increase, or if I want to come up with my own architecture, and call it as RajuNet or ShivaNet, whatever you call it, okay. So what are the precautions that you will take? What are the precautions you will take if you want to come up with your own architecture? Okay, then you have to tell that, sir, when we are coming up with our own architecture with many layers, we need to ensure that weights are not increasing, and we also need to make sure that vanishing gradient problem is not getting affected. Okay, we also need to ensure that the entire computations are reduced. So if these precautions are taken or addressed by your architecture, then your architecture is good. So at least these sort of analysis will definitely be asked whenever you go for any deep learning interviews in your placements. Okay. So this is important. This sort of analysis is important. Okay, whether you use one-by-one convolution or you use inception module, whether you use auxiliary loss, or all these things combined, you have to use and come up with your own architecture. Fine. So we are done with GoogleNet also. Now, next architecture, the final architecture, I think I have written here somewhere back. Yeah. This is the final architecture, Nana. Sixth architecture, that is ResNet. ResNet is actually called residual net. Okay, so this looks very lengthy. Okay, it has many layers. It has also very many variants. But do not get confused, and I don't know whether you can see this entire architecture in one go. Actually, you can directly type ResNet in Google, you'll get the image. But let me tell you one thing. Why ResNet? What is the, see, instead of directly going with ResNet, I'll tell you the motivation behind it's again, the Microsoft also came up with a beautiful thought process. Thought process we'll see, then we'll jump into the diagrammatic explanation of that. As I said, Microsoft came up with their own architecture called ResNet, residual net. Now, what is the thought process during that time? They said like this: VGG net is of 16 layers, or VGG net can also be of 19 layers. Different variants exist in VGG. GoogleNet is of 22 layers because we don't calculate generally the max pooling layers. We take the convolution as one layer and every inception module has 2 layers. So if you calculate all that previous GoogleNet architecture will contain 22 layers. 22 layers where convolution is 1 layer, inception is 2 layers. Just count like that, you'll get 22 layers. Okay, they thought, okay, VGG is of 19. GoogleNet increased the number of layers to 22. Then they thought, Microsoft people thought, what if I increased the number of layers more than 22? Then they thought, as number of layers increases, again the same similar thought, as the number of layers increases, number of parameters increase. As the number of parameters increase, but they have like they have delved into some other problem. They intentionally increase the layers now. You'll not realize they increase the number of layers to even 150. There is 22, where is 150? Where is 151? They increase the number of layers to 151. But very interesting conclusion. It's a beautiful conclusion. See, generally, you can imagine if they have 151 layers, the number of weights are extremely very high. Extremely, yeah, like very high. Very high number of weights. Huge number of weights. Okay. Now, okay, they just want to try because people till now, Google also tried with only 32 layers or 22 layers. Why Microsoft was surprised? Why even Google is restricting itself with a few number of layers less than 50? What happens if we increase to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150? They reach to 150. Then they just want to try what happens if I increase the number of layers to 150 or 120 or 150 or 170, whatever. They have somehow stopped at 150 because they have observed certain situations there. Okay, they stopped at 151, where they have observed very or many weights, as simple as that. Many weights. I already told guys, if you have many weights, what happens? It is overfitting. What is overfitting? Your training error. Your training error. Can anybody tell me training error what happens? Training error what happens, Nana? What happens to the training error if you have many weights? Your freedom will be, for example, you have a class of positive points and negative points. What happens if you have many weights? You exactly, without any single misclassification, whatever may be the non-linearity, whatever may be the non-linearity, you would classify all the points in your training data without any error. There will not be any misclassification. Its training error is zero. That is true, right? If I have more number of weights, more freedom, according to universal approximation theorem, I can fit any non-linear data if I have more weights. That is what it should happen. But do you but for their sudden surprise, they have found out that training error is not equal to zero. It was really shocked, right? Yes or no? Training error was not equal to zero. Even I have increased layers to 151, and if I increase the number of layers to 151, proportionally the number of weights also will increase. But if the weights are increased to that level, my training error, at least leave about test error, man. I'm not talking about test error. But at least during my training, I should get zero training error. Why they have not got? Can anybody tell me? I really appreciate if you tell me the answer. They also took a lot of time to get this answer. After analysis only they could come up with the answer. Anybody? Can anybody guess? What, Nana? Come again? I didn't understand. Come again? Hello? Somebody actually said something. Okay. I could not understand your answer, Nana. Okay, any other answers? Any other answers? Just guess, Nana. This is our notion, right? When number of weights increases, I can fit any non-linear data. That means I get training error to be zero. But why I have not got training error to be zero? Even though they tried n number of possible hyperparameter tuning. What is hyperparameter tuning? Different activation functions, different number of neurons in each layer. So all those things. They have tried all possible hyperparameter tuning with the same 151 layers, but they did not get training error to be zero. I'll tell you. Shall I tell the answer or anybody has the answer? Okay, I'll tell you. It's a very interesting answer, but it's a very simple answer also. If we just think, we'll get it. This is my input image. Now I applied some operation, maybe convolution operation. then maybe second convolution operation, maybe third convolution operation, maybe fourth convolution, maybe max pooling, maybe fifth convolution operation, maybe sixth convolution operation, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. Maybe convolution operation 151. Actually, it will not be 151. Maybe I remember that it's 148 or something like that. Okay. So, and you'll have fully connected layers at the end. Now, see, Nana, what is happening? Here you are taking the input image and you're changing the input image. Again, 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 you're changing like this. This is called morphing. The extent of morphing became very high. Now, do you realize why Google has not came up with this extensive set of layers? Because they already know that if we increase number of layers, the input image will get morphed. Actually, I'm supposed to identify patterns from the input image, maybe for which I require only 20 layers. Maybe after which, if I still change this image where I identify patterns to further layers, then what happens? These patterns gets collapsed. Whatever the understanding that the system had on the input image, that an understanding can lead to deviations. That understanding can lead to deviations. That's the reason, since lot of morphing has been happened of the input image, they did not get training error to be equal to 0. They got some high training error. Now you understood why they did not get training error to be 0. Okay. Now what is the solution? Can anybody guess the solution? If you guess the solution, it should be awesome. Can anybody tell me the solution that you can think of? Any answers? Just think now. Any answers? Okay. Should have some. See, unknown problems only will be asked in the interviews. Do not think that the same things will be asked. If you assume that this is not known to you during your interview, what would be your answer? What is the guess? Any answers? Okay, I don't know. It's looking like I'm talking myself in a radio. Okay, fine. So I'll tell you what else I can do. At least initially, I don't know whether if you at least understood the question, sir, can you tell the answer is also fine. If you're not getting the answer, that is fine. See, now I'm supplying input image here. Supplying input image here. It is getting morphed something here and again here. Now what they've done is, image is getting morphed. Okay, then they've done is what they've done is they have again passed the input image to this. For the third operation that I'm doing, it's not only the morphed image of the input, I'm also supplying the actual input image. Understood? They're passing the non-morphed part or less morphed part again to the abstract part or morphed image. They're combining. They're telling that, "Arey Baba, you don't always take the decision based on this, feature representations or morphed representation. For your help, to what extent you have to change? I'm again adding the the initial image. It's like take the case of milk. I should not say this silly example, but I'm just telling. For example, you have a milk with lot of density, very pure milk. Then you add some water. Again you add some water. Again you add some water. Then what happens after some time? It gets diluted. Then before you supply to the next customer, you add some original milk. Then you supply to the next customer. Next customer will not complain. You understood? Will not complain. So similarly, if my input image is getting morphed and I'm deviating from the pattern analysis, it's my duty to supply the input image at that level so that it will not further deviate its understanding. And it worked, and it worked. And for that 151 layers, it not only gave training error to be 0, the test error also is very, very less. And it's the best It's one of the best performance across all architectures. Okay. Now, how does it look? Again, from which architecture they have taken the base? They have taken the base from VGG 19, which we have discussed. Already we have discussed VGG 19, Nana, but we have discussed in like the diagrammatic representation have taken like this, and like this. But if you see in internet, you will have, because they cannot fit in the paper. They have represented the same thing in this boxes representation. Let us understand this. Maybe I think time is up. Okay, if you observe, okay. So if you observe here, they have ResNet was inspired from VGGNet. From VGGNet, they came up with this is ResNet architecture. This is my ResNet architecture. This is the ResNet architecture. The last one is the ResNet architecture. We'll understand that in the next class. I think the time is up. So we will see those details. But I'll tell you how ResNet came from VGG 19. Okay, we'll try to see. I think next week, hopefully, we'll at that point we'll continue this class. Okay, thank you, Dana. And stop the recording. But you should understand the motivation behind the ResNet architecture. Okay, stop the recording.